Per usual, everything on this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. It's set of Sunday. Let's take a look at some charts. It's been a wild couple days. It's been a wild afternoon. Let's go back to the trusty dusty list here. GOX distro coins coming up. This is really best case scenario. The fear for many people was we'd be selling off into the GOX distribution. If we are holding this momentum into GOX coin distribution, we're going to chew through that, no problem. Let everybody and their mother sell. It is what it is. I thought that I read about 65% of the coins were distributed to exchanges that are participating in the distribution program, as in Stamp, Kraken, BitGo. When exactly those are going to be released to individuals, don't know, but I'm sure we'll hear about it on Twitter. I'm sure it'll be mainline news everywhere you look. Such and such coins getting sent to people after 10 years. We know that the German selling is officially done. I didn't pull up the article for today, but there was an article from Germany in a German newspaper about them being finished and it's finalized, so we can put that behind us. We'll take a look at hash ribbons. Miners are still in the thick of it. Let's say they're not exactly done capitulating. Hash rate has jumped up quite a bit, but the hash ribbons have not given a buy signal just yet. We of course have a ETH ETF coming this week, a launch, which I feel kind of ho-hum about personally, but then again, I'm not all about the ETH like a lot of people. The big thing to watch there is the first week and the week after. What does the ETH demand look like? What does the ETH unlock specifically look like? Do people care about this stuff? Are the TradFi crypto bros full and drunk on IBIT, or are they going to jump into the ETH side of things? We'll see. That's yet to come. Technicals, it's a new day. We're magically above everything. When you're trading in a range and you're a trend trader, sometimes you're a fool, but you're never necessarily going to be wrong in the end, because the trend will always set you free. The trend will always guide you into the right position. Now, you may get chopped up 6 ways to Sunday. You may get chopped up and spat out. But that's why it's important to understand and know, if we're not trending and you're a trend trader and you're using something like the cloud, not going to be super, super helpful in the midst of the chop as we were. But as of now, as of today, we are above the cloud on the daily. The 200-day moving average, the alligator, we'll take a look at all these, as well as the 20-week moving average. On top of all this, we've had 2 weeks in a row now of over 1 billion in inflows net into the BTC ETFs. I don't believe this to be the basis trade either. And this makes sense based on what we've seen with price, based on what we've seen with GOX coins getting sent out. We've also got PCE this week. I'll talk more about this tomorrow for Macro Monday. But if PCE comes in hot, market's not going to like that. Market's going to like a calm PCE, a flat PCE, or a down PCE. A rising PCE will take away Fed ammo for an eventual cut this year. And if there is no cut this year, we may see the opposite of what we saw last week, where tech starts to get a bid and something like the IWM sells off. Just something to watch for. As far as expectations for the number, this is the Fed's nowcast PCE this month. I think it's basically flat are the projections. It's this month's PCE, July's PCE, where there's projected to be a slight rise in those numbers. So if you're a doomer, you're focused on the potential for a rise here. If you're a realist, you're saying, well, we're almost there. We're at a 2 handle. This is the Fed's preferred inflation metric. Maybe they want to thinking about cutting. Maybe. And oh, by the way, we had this little note by one Joseph Robinette Biden acknowledging that he is stepping down. He is not running for re-election. He will hold the remainder of his term, apparently. I don't believe we've heard anything from him personally. Very odd that this came out only on Twitter and nowhere else. I don't think anyone's seen the man, but welcome to 2024. I mentioned this already, ETH ETFs on the 23rd. We've got Trump talking at the Bitcoin conference this week in this insane fundraiser. Will be interesting to see who goes to that. Are they going to fill up this? I'm highly skeptical they're going to fill a room of people at whatever that amount is per person. And whether we like it or not, we are tied at the hip to the success of the Trump campaign. If Trump gets in a fender bender, if Trump cuts his finger, if Trump gets COVID, if Trump has some sort of medical emergency, anything like that will throw price lower. Biden dropping out brought uncertainty back into the market. Market didn't like that initially, sold off, and then recovered. So get prepared for lots and lots of that, because we are essentially one-to-one correlated with Biden's demise, Trump's victory. And this is most important for election night, especially if the polls are close, regardless of how you might feel about your political viewpoint. I definitely wouldn't be 100x long going into that election night, because I'm sure we are going to get some interesting polling, some interesting numbers coming out of that during the election. We also have Elon with laser eyes. I don't know if this is related to Nashville or not. We've got Mark Andreessen with laser eyes. Maybe. Who knows? Cool. Great. Maybe that's good for Bitcoin. I don't know. But the market seems to like it. As far as Bitcoin in the cycle, relative to a cycle low, we are exactly where we should be in the mid-cycle lull period. We don't typically see a further advance until, we'll call it 70 days after today. So we're still a little bit early if we do continue here past 72. But all in all, we're close enough. It's not always going to be the same from cycle to cycle. Relative to halving, we are slightly under the 2020 cycle, slightly over the 2016 cycle, but ultimately we are exactly where we should be. And again, this is kind of saying, well, we're still pretty early relative to where we are on that black line. So regardless of all of the insane mayhem going on, using the past cycle as a suggestion for what we may do this cycle, we are where we should be. Before we go any further here, let me mention today's video sponsor, Kraken Pro. Kraken Pro is a complete overhaul of the Kraken trading experience with a one-stop shop for advanced and professional traders. Kraken Pro enables efficient trading execution across multiple markets with a UI that allows for unique optimization tailored to your trading style. You can check out Kraken Pro with the link in the description of this video. Not investment advice. Crypto trading involves risk of loss. Cryptocurrency services are provided to U.S. and U.S. territory customers by Payward Ventures Inc., PVI, DBA. Kraken. Looking at Kraken here, I have DOGE up. There's a lot of alts that have this kind of pseudo inverted head and shoulders. We talked about it on stream Thursday. Those seem to have broken up. The issue with trading all these low time frame patterns on alts is they have a low hit rate. They tend to be noise most of the time, and they don't really go too far. What you really want is something you can grab your hands around, some big pattern, big breakout. So there are a lot of alts. Link is another one. It looks okay. If you pull it up on low time frames, it looks like an inverted head and shoulders. Sure. Is it tradable? I guess, depending on if you want to take the trade, but it's there. It's definitely there. It's certainly less bearish and more bullish. As far as Bitcoin is concerned, we have just been a rocket ship on a warpath for higher highs, thanks in large part to election odds favoring Trump, potential announcement about a Bitcoin strategic reserve or something to that effect in Nashville. I'll just trade the chart, and the chart is telling me we look very good on the cloud. Closed above the cloud, I think, on Friday. We have our own version of a weird looking inverted head and shoulders here. Still have a bearish cloud, still have a bearish TK cross, but ultimately the first thing you need to see usually is price above the cloud. So we got that. We're still in this mega range, and everybody's excited. I'm excited too. We are definitely bullish again, right? This is certainly an unexpected development, regardless of what anybody says, to have this mega reversal from 56. Pretty unusual, quite special. And this is where the trend traders look like fools, because down here they're bearish, up here they were bullish. I'm talking about myself here. And up here I'm bullish again. So if we do go to 100K, today is the first day, first week, where we're seeing bullish vibes on the cloud once again. Weekly cloud looks okay. I don't have any qualms with it other than momentum is essentially flat here. We still have the Kijun as support. We still have the weekly cloud as a potential target. I would have liked this a little bit more if we bounced on the weekly Kijun, but it is what it is. We'll take it. There's a case to be made for a mega cup and handle here, an inverted head and shoulders. Whatever this might be, you just take this high, this low with the fibs, measure it higher. I think it measures to like 250, 300, something like that. This is the type of chart pattern you want to trade. You can trade this rinky-dink, ticky-tack, piddly-widdly link inverted head and shoulders, sure. Or you can say, you know what, it was a pretty good trade here. on a high time frame where you can just sit in it and do nothing and end up doing pretty well. So we're still bullish on the weekly cloud. Maybe the most interesting Bitcoin chart outside of the cloud is the weekly Bollinger Bands, because we survived near certain doom, death, devastation, radiation, just a downward spiral would have ensued, because what the bands are telling you here is that volatility is very, very low. It's tightening. How this works is you get low periods of volatility, contracting Bollinger Bands, and then once a decision on direction is made, the Bollinger Bands expand. So we could be setting ourselves up for a similar path of walking up the bands that we saw from 2023 into 2024, as well as post-halving 2020 into 2021. And we haven't even started yet. So very early days on this, but it looks as good as you could want it to look. And the first step, the next step, is going to be breaking above the weekly bands, which is about somewhere around 73, basically a new all-time high. So it is very encouraging for bullish continuation. Looking at the pitchfork we made over the past couple years, the trend channel, we've survived by the hair of our chinny chin chin down here, just barely. I didn't move this, it just is what it is, okay? It's bizarre, it works. When it does, it's great. This is why it was so concerning to be sitting on this low for the duration we sat on that low. Usually you reach some sort of support or resistance on a pitchfork like this and you just get rejected quickly, you roll over. So we're back above the 200-day moving average, back above the 20-week moving average. And whatever this range might be, pattern-wise, Wyckoff-wise, it all measures to roughly the same spot, which is 90 to 100. Again, you take the high, you take the low, you fib it out. That gives you a range projection for higher. It's well within the expectations of the pitchfork as well. I just don't know seasonality-wise what this is going to look like. August, September, usually pretty awful. The election stuff is going to be all over the place. So I'm confident in direction as long as we can stay above the trend metrics. It's the path that's going to be very difficult to nail with high certainty because of all of the ancillary stuff feeding into price. This is alligator fractal, bullish, right? We're above what we need to be above. We're back above this downward death spiral. And this could be just like it was in May to June, where we pop above and then go back down. You know, maybe the GOX coins are enough to just send us lower. I don't know, right? We'll have to wait and see. That's why, going back to this list, there's still a lot of stuff we need to clear up in regards to the supply unlock, but the technicals look great. The technicals look really, really good. Looking at some other non-BTC, BTC analogs, BITX 4-hour, also starting to get back above this cloud. The previous two recaptures of the 4-hour cloud were duds, okay, here. This is where I started adding, loading the boat, just BITU is what I'm trading, just loading the boat. Then it just ate it. I just ate it like I was hungry. I ate it, okay. I shouldn't have, but I did. It worked out. It shouldn't have worked out, but it did. But now we're starting to get back above the 4-hour. Previously, when we had moves like this above the 4-hour, it was up, and away. This is a 2x Bitcoin ETF. Also a little bit of an inverted head and shoulders here. This measures to an absurd target, percentage-wise, 136. I don't know, like end of year, right? So when you're looking at, do you like BTC? Do you like ETH? Do you like Sol? Do you like Coin? Do you like MSTR? Do you like BITX? Do you like a miner, right? I think it's important, unless you want to be cognizant of portfolio mix, to just get some sense of what does the TA look like for the individual pair, the relative pair. The MSTR TA is still insane. It makes no sense. It makes no logical reason why it should be up here, why it's done so well, but it's undeniably strong. It looks great, and it measures to significantly higher. They've also got a split 10-to-1 coming up here. And this looks much stronger than Bitcoin. It's already back to its all-time high equivalent, at least close to it. SMLR, poor man's MSTR, also has Bitcoin on the balance sheet, has a pretty groovy inverted head and shoulders here. Also something to think about. Certainly not as loud as Michael Saylor, but may get a double tailwind from small caps picking a bid and being Bitcoin adjacent, having Bitcoin on the balance sheet. Technicals also look very good for that. This is a weekly chart, so I don't think it's going to break out imminently, but into Q4 should do pretty well. Looking at some of the relative pairs, this is MSTR against BTC, and it looks super bullish for MSTR. Really, really good on the weekly. You've got years of downtrend, And all of a sudden, MSTR is outperforming BTC pretty handedly here. So with everything in the market, why there's some gravitational pull towards MSTR, I don't really know. WGMI, the mining ETF, also looks very strong, well above the daily cloud here. Some sort of potential right-angled wedge or something. Measures decently higher, looks pretty good. WGMI relative to BTC, however, may be seeing a local top. Just picking out this channel that we've seen since WGMI inception. On a relative basis, the local high for WGMI might be in. And I'm going to go to a white screen here, so this is your warning for the flashbang. But hash ribbons, like I said, are recovering, but not quite this 30-60-day cross. Has not crossed bullish yet. So miners are still struggling, but I'm guessing this will cross definitely over the next 2 weeks, potentially over the next week. CleanSpark, miner individually, also looks very good. Looks like it's coming to the end of its consolidation. It has been in a very tight consolidation since February. Fundamentals may not suggest any move higher. It may suggest everything's fully priced in. Okay, whatever. Okay, I'm just looking at technicals. Technicals look very bullish. Certainly a 2x here is suggested by the end of the year. And I'll come back to coin at the end, but there are lots of options outside of BTC. Right? Let's say you don't like BTC for whatever reason, or you have enough BTC, if that's even possible. There's lots of other stuff you can do, or you want a little leverage. BITU is my preferred method for that on the legacy side of things. Looking at ETH, also back above the cloud, bearish TK cross, still in this mega triangle thing. It's pretty ugly, but a lot of these trends don't always start looking the best. You know, look at 2023. It didn't look great there either. So the cloud is certainly favoring bullishness for ETH. The 12-hour, which I sometimes for alts go down a time frame, also pretty convincing for bullishness. And you can do a quick little back test visually here, where it gets you in and out of relative to the daily. So this is giving additional signals for bullishness. Weekly cloud, it survived the certain doom of closing inside of the weekly cloud below the Kijun, right? We held where we needed to hold so far. It's not over for the bears just yet, but probably. The problem is this is such a huge range. Do we really think we're going to get back to the top of the range and then sell down again? I don't think so. I just think it's just going to be a bunch of chop for an extended period of time here, maybe a month, unless we see some ETH ETF demand. Let's not forget, the last pattern before the breakout to this level took an extremely long time to break up this ascending triangle right here. So it's not bearish. Certainly it's bullish. Looks good. Just looks very, very choppy. Long-term pitchfork for ETH also held the bottom of the pitchfork. And this would give you very bullish targets for 2025. Probably 20K. I think 10K is a realistic target. But if the pitchfork holds, we are literally at the bottom of the risk-reward profile as far as expectations of bullish continuation. So the baseline is always the midpoint of the pitchfork, which is 10K into 2025. The bullish expectations are off this chart, well above 17K. And the bearish expectations into mid-2025 would be 6,500. So as long as this can hold the trend channel, it looks very favorable for an eventual move higher. It's just the path, right? I don't know. We could just hang out here until 2025 and do nothing, seemingly, relative to everything else. And then there's some catch-up trade into 2025 where ETH moves back to the midline of the pitchfork. Certainly possible. ETH BTC looks like junk still. This is a 3-day. Doesn't look like, you couldn't tell me if I gave you this chart, hey, where do you think the ETH ETF's launching? You'd have no idea. You'd have no idea. You'd say, well, maybe there's some news here. Maybe there's some news here. This was the Bitcoin ETF. But you'd have no idea. This doesn't look bullish. This doesn't look like some magic bull trend breakout. Now, this could be a falling wedge down here. It could be a diamond bottom down here. But it's still below the 3-day cloud. Has been below the 3-day cloud for quite some time. So that may change this week. Something to watch. The first close above the 3-day cloud for ETH BTC. Certainly possible. Sol looks phenomenal. It had a very bearish potential. Again, all this stuff reversed. It found love in a lonely place. It magically on this timeline that we are living in, bounced. So you had a W double bottom here, price way above cloud now. Not exactly a bullish TK cross, but TK lines are touching here. Bearish cloud, looks very, very strong. 12-hour, again, gets you in a little bit earlier. For some of these alts, it's probably better to go down a time frame just because they move so fast. But if you're paying attention to the W, you shouldn't have had any qualms about entering there at 152, let's say. I think this is a chart we talked about on the stream Thursday, and this looks very good for strong near-term, mid-term bullish continuation. And wouldn't that be just amazing to see Sol steal ETH's thunder on the ETF approval and launch week? That would be great. Sol has also held above the weekly cloud. If anything, it's got a W here on the weekly, and it's still bullish. Looks fine. You could say cup and handle for this. There's all sorts of stuff you could say. The measurement from this high to this low is absurd. I didn't check it, but it's under 1,000, but it's above 300. So the range is quite wide. Very generous, very bullish if this does break out. Sol BTC also had a bearish pattern with a bearish trend ready to break down. It did not. It broke up as strong as BTC has been. Sol has been stronger. So on trend, it's fully recovered. It also is in the process of invalidating any worries I would have about a head and shoulders breakdown. You're also getting a bullish Kumo twist here coming up. So Sol BTC looks very good. Sol ETH, which I had talked about many weeks ago, this ascending triangle possibility that looked to be over based on how this broke down. It's back on the table. Again, you've got price above cloud, bullish TK cross, bullish Kumo twist coming up. Really the only thing that matters is this horizontal here. So Sol ETH looks very strong in favor of Sol. One other coin I thought I'd bring up was AVAX. It, similar to Sol, has this Adam and Eve W double bottom here, returning to the neckline of a previous bearish head and shoulders into the daily cloud, daily TK cross pending. It looks pretty good. It looks better than most of the alts. A lot of the alts are in recovery mode still. They're not above clouds yet. They're not trend bullish, but they're getting there. AVAX, for whatever reason, is definitely on the stronger side of most of them. Back to legacy, this is Coinbase coin. Similar to CleanSpark, it has held this range since February, March, and looks ready to go. Bullish cloud, bullish TK cross. It's above several interpretations of a triangle. It measures significantly higher, and the pitchfork is on your side. So there's really no bearish technical notes here. It looks very, very bullish and looks ready to go. And it should be bullish if Bitcoin's bullish. It should be bullish if Coinbase is the custodian for ETH ETFs. Coin relative to BTC looks like it favors coin here. It looks like it's got some sort of complex inverted head and shoulders and or ascending triangle. It's bullish on the cloud. So coin is probably like a 1.5x BTC, because if we compare this against MSTR, which is like a 2.5x BTC, clearly this is in a downtrend. There's no favorability here for Coinbase relative to MSTR. So this goes back to the portfolio question. Some people really like Coinbase. Some people really like MSTR. Some people really like the miners. This is coin relative to CleanSpark. This to me looks like this favors coin. So it has me questioning my CleanSpark position because this looks like on technicals that coin is ready to break out against CleanSpark. So if you really want to min-max the beta or min-max the relative value, you can do it. You can definitely do it. TA is certainly applicable for all that stuff. A few last charts on legacy. S&P futures are basically flat on the Biden news. Pretty nasty reversal last week. The previous technicals for the cup and handle were matched. They were hit. I don't know what more people wanted up there. It was way mega overbought relative to the cloud. Probably makes sense that this stuff quiets down until we get some more certainty relative to who's running and the election and all that other stuff. So this certainly doesn't look like anything I want to touch. Again, you want to touch this here? May? November? Okay. We're not anywhere near anything looking like that. We go on the Qs, same thing, same pattern, same breakout, same target, same pullback. And you could buy the Kijun bounce, potentially. I just don't know anybody who's excited about buying this stuff after it's up on a crazy run since November. Don't forget, Legacy kept going. Bitcoin went sideways. Legacy kept going and now is finally pulling back. So it would make a lot of sense to me if Legacy slowed down a little bit. Here is, we'll go to NVIDIA first. NVIDIA is another one that most of the world has been trading. This is an M double top. Everybody sees this. It's obvious. Will it break down as an M double top? I don't know, but it's enough to tell me, yeah, I'm not going to jump into this thing at the key June here. What you want to see is what we saw in November. Again, bullish TK cross, price above cloud, a fresh trend burst of bullish continuation. That is not this. This is tired, weak, after the move. This is where people who missed everything jump in and then lose more money. Just not the time. Relative to BTC, it would also be interesting if NVIDIA reached some sort of relative high based on 2016, 2017 levels. Way too early to call it, but it would be interesting if money starts to roll out of NVIDIA into BTC or into IBIT or whatever, out of legacy into crypto. If we are in fact the Trump trade, which I think everybody assumes we are, we may be the purest of the Trump trades. So we look very good across the board. It's just TA becomes less useful if potentially there was a monkey wrench thrown at the success of the Trump campaign. That's all over this one. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.